In this vlog, we're looking at 2 more ways to get enthusiastic about taking on a tough challenge. Then we're going to see if we can use that enthusiasm to flip our doubts. For previous vlogs, click on the links below. The third way to get emotionally engaged with your challenge is to fully understand the reasons why you might want to take it on. To think hard about all the benefits you could get, the type of person that you'll become, the skills that you will learn, the opportunities that you might have, what doors might open, what people you meet, the networks that you might build. And not just you. Could your success mean benefits for others? That would be great, because we'll do much more for others than we'll do for ourselves. This is Andre Agassi, who after years of training and slogging his way up the rankings, winning Grand Slams, suddenly started losing. Now, he'd been pressured into tennis as a child by his very controlling father, and only realized after he'd become successful that he really didn't like playing. He fell into a terrible slump. His rank dropped, his world rankings dropped from number 1 to a number 141. His turnaround began when he found a purpose larger than himself, helping disadvantaged kids get an education. He's really taken on that cause and been able to raise millions for schools. 2 years after realizing the more he won matches, the more he could help, he was back to number 1 in the world. Recruits in the US Marines are taught that whenever things get really miserable, when they're digging foxholes in the rain, when they're crawling through the mud under barbed wire, when they really feel like quitting, they should ask each other why they are doing this. For many of them, the answer is to build a better life for their families. And by reminding themselves of that, they see that their temporary struggle is worthwhile. The final technique is about making your challenge less painful. It's really simple. You start by asking yourself, how excited are you about taking on your challenge out of 10, with 0 being no pulse and 10 being super enthusiastic. Then ask yourself, why didn't you choose a lower number that gets you thinking about the benefits? And then finally, ask yourself, what could you do to increase your level of enthusiasm just 1 point? For example, let's say you're not looking forward to getting up at 6 a.m. and going for a run. So you rate your enthusiasm at about a 3. Now, it's not a 2, because you know you feel quite good when you're finished. You know it sets you up for the day. So how could you make getting up and getting out of the house just a little bit less painful? Or maybe you could have your clothes ready by the door. Maybe you could run with a friend. Maybe run listening to podcasts. There will be something that you can do when you start thinking like this. Okay, so now you're a little bit more enthusiastic. You can go back to your list of concerns and see if you can deal with them. Here's what happened to me when I was considering taking part in the Transatlantic Rowing Race. You know I had that list of concerns before. Let's go back to them now. Yes, I could die. Yeah, I could die out there, but you know what? The boats are always found again afterwards. All I have to do is stay tied onto the boat. I'm not into pain. Well, that's true. But I've got 2 years before the next race, when I just build the most comfortable boat in the fleet. I could bolt a lazy boy on if I wanted to. I don't go to bed 6 times a day. Well, that's just changing my focus, because in that same race, I get to go to bed 6 times a day, and I can certainly handle that. I don't know how to row. That's true. But whenever you take on a big challenge, you're not going to know all the steps from the start to the end at the start. You have to back yourself that you could learn or work with people who have the skills that you don't have. I figured it didn't matter how bad I was at rowing at the start of this adventure, I was going to be an expert by the time I got to the end. Now it's your turn. Try using one or more of these methods to get more enthusiastic about the possibilities of taking on your challenge. And then go back to your list of concerns and see how you can either avoid them or mitigate them. Look, it's not going to turn you into a raving fan, and it doesn't need to, nor should it. Some challenges just aren't worthwhile. But what it should do is help you give your challenge a second look, to assess it in a more balanced and a clear-eyed way. But there is one more thing that we do need to address. One of your biggest concerns that you might have, and that's, what if I fail? It's a fascinating issue that we need to deal with head on, and that's just what we'll be doing in the upcoming vlogs. I'm Kevin Bigger. From my background in business and adventures on oceans, ice and TV, I provide teams with the tools to take on big challenges, to lift performance and persist through adversity. You'll find a transcript of this video plus information about my speeches and workshops when you click on the link